Gloucester County means business, and we will hear from freeholder Heather Simmons and Director of Economic Development Tom Bianco on how they nurture sustainable growth. And Atlantic City is facing significant challenges, but the city is still optimistic about its future and offering assistance to do business in the city. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Welcome to Latino Motion. Gloucester County has managed to hold on to steady growth in spite of economic downturn and continues to foster sustainable growth. Joining me are freeholder Heather Simmons and also Tom Bianco, who is the Director of Economic Development for the county. Welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I know you both very well for quite some time, and you guys do a great job in the county. And as I mentioned in the intro, the county has managed to stay steady in terms of economic growth. And just want to talk a little bit about the success and some of the big things that you have planned right now. Tell me a little bit about what's contributing to the success to maintaining that steady growth.
Well, this is something that Tom and I are focused on continually, and I think that the key to the success in job creation in Gloucester County and job retention has really been in the area of forging and maintaining partnerships. And we see those partnerships in a couple of areas: partnerships with our small businesses, partnerships with our large industry along the 295 corridor, along the Delaware River, and then partnerships with education.
Tom, I think that maybe location means a lot in Gloucester County, doesn't it?
It does mean a lot, but the biggest thing we're finding is the fact that in working with the employers, right now we're working with the Paulsboro Marine Terminal is one of the biggest projects to hit Gloucester County in a long time.
And this is the one that you just had a big job fair for.
We just had a big job fair. We had an information session on December 9th at Paulsboro High School, and we had over 800 people show up for them. 732 were registered, that we got information, and over 800 showed up. It was basically an information session where Holt was there talking about the jobs it's going to create in reference to an example of a job would be someone working in the refrigerator warehouse, and another job would be someone working on the docks, which is the dry division / stevedore jobs. And they're well-paying jobs that have sustainable and will last for a long time.
And our commitment working with Holt Logistics, which is helping us to operate the port, is that those jobs are meant first and foremost for residents of Paulsboro and the surrounding areas. So our commitment is to create jobs for the people who live in Gloucester County. And the fact that 800 people showed up for that first session shows that there's a great need and unmet demand to help fill those jobs.
And you mentioned the split that you have between working with the industry, such as the Paulsboro, and also working with small business. And the reality is the small business account for a large portion of the growth. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing to help small business.
We have about 12,000 total businesses in Gloucester County, and of those, well over 90% are small businesses. And we define that as a business that has 50 or fewer employees. So as a unit, small business in Gloucester County employs about 50,000 people and is therefore our largest employer. And what we know about small businesses is that for every $100 that's spent locally, 65 of those dollars stay local. So that's a real investment in our downtowns, in our local communities, in job creation here. So supporting small business for us really is good business. So for the second year in a row, we're about to seed a small business revolving loan fund. We do this in cooperation with the Cooperative Business Assistance Corporation, which is located in Camden City. And they're a nonprofit economic development corporation that helps to support small businesses, not only with loans, but also with other services for training, for doing a business plan, and for a lot of other services.
So where do you get that information? Where should you go if you're a small business, want to tap into that loan program? Where do you go?
We encourage people to call the office, the Department of Economic Development, which is 384-6930, and we will actually work with the individual and refer them to the Rutgers SBDC. They'll sit down with someone who has a business or someone who wants to open a business and work with them in terms of creating a business plan. Because anywhere you go, you need to create a business plan to go to a lending institution. And then once we want them to do that, after they do that, then they'll actually contact CBAC and submit the loan to them and see if it's approved or they have to do some other things. But it gives, you're vested in a small business. You're finding the county is very receptive to that. Heather can talk about the program that they do in November, the Small Business Support Group. So I'll turn it over to Freeholder Simmons to talk about that.
Well, here's what we've learned about a lot of our small businesses. Especially in our downtowns. And a lot of our businesses that have been key components of our downtowns somehow made it through the economic downturn. And a lot of them did it by investing everything they have in terms of their resources, in terms of their finances into keeping this small business alive. And here they are, they've survived that, and now they're looking to growth. What's the next step for me? And because a lot of these businesses have been pretty creative in getting through and they've survived off of credit cards, they no longer qualify for loans through their traditional lending partners. And that's where we come in. We can help provide them with funds through this program and then also piggyback those on other loan programs through CBAC. So even when their banking partners are saying no, there's still an opportunity for us to say yes to them.
And that's good news, particularly for minority-owned businesses who are looking for those opportunities. Anyone's interested in getting more information in Gloucester County, who should they be contacting?
Can call the Department of Economic Development at 856-384-6930, and we'll talk to them about it, walk them through the whole process. Because a lot of people aren't used to going and borrow money, or if you want to do a startup, we want to work with an entrepreneur or the existing company because it creates jobs or sustain jobs. That's the biggest thing we like.
Well, that's the next topic we want to cover about that jobs. And we're going to take a quick break and we'll follow up with that. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We'll continue our discussion with Gloucester County Freeholder Heather Simmons and Tom Bianco, Director of Economic Development. And we're discussing economic development, and more specifically, we started to get into the workforce development. And when you mentioned the job fairs that you had, and that's an important tool that you use both for the employer and for the job seekers. Tell me a little more about that.
We hold 4 job fairs a year, and they're at Rowan College at Gloucester County. And we average between 70 to 80 employers and 500 to 700 job seekers there. And what's nice about it does not cost, if a company has a job, it does not cost them a dime to attend. And we've actually had people that have cried in terms of job seekers, and the reason they've cried is because they were interviewed on the spot and obtained a job, and they've never had that happen to them. So we're very at the forefront of, working with the employers to find qualified candidates for their various positions.
There are a couple of things that make job fairs interesting now, and one of them is that we're finding people of our age and our experience who are finding themselves without a job for the first time.
You mean your age,
20
years. Not me and Tom's
For the first
age.
time in 15 or 20 years. So they haven't done a resume, they haven't done a job interview, they're not sure of the new technology and how that relates to a job search. So what we do prior to every job fair is we hold a resource event where people can come in a week before the job fair at no cost and get assistance in putting together a resume and using some online tools to facilitate their job search.
And speaking of the tools, I know you work closely with education segment, Rowan University, and also the Work Investment Board, formerly the Work Investment Board, now the Workforce
Development Board.
Exactly. So those are key to providing an educated and trained workforce. Tell me a little bit more about that partnership.
Rowan College at Gloucester County, formerly Gloucester County College, was the first community college in the state to develop a premier partnership with Rowan University. And what that means for our students is simply that from their first day at Rowan College at Gloucester County, they can be dual enrolled at Rowan University, which allows them a smooth transition if their ultimate goal is to get a bachelor's or a master's degree or beyond in whatever their chosen field is. The idea here, Bert, is that we are looking for ways, along with Rowan University, to compress the time it takes for a student to achieve their degree, to make it more affordable, and to provide them with enhanced access to a real job, to a career-oriented job.
And Tom, training and higher degree, very critical nowadays.
Yes, what you're finding is an individual could have lost their job and want to change careers. Let's say they decide to go to certified nurse's aide, and they have a job. There's a possibility that they might want to continue their education on the Rowan College of Gloucester County for a bachelor, a BA degree, and then continue to Rowan University to obtain either a nursing degree or something in the allied health field. So we're finding more and more people wanted to change careers in terms of looking in terms of the industry in general, what's the jobs in demand.
And I know all of us were at the Gloucester County State of the County event, and we heard the president of Rowan University talk about the possibility of $25,000 for a bachelor's degree over 4 years, which is outstanding. We'd like to see that plan come to fruition. But certainly, Gloucester County is making it affordable and obtainable to get the higher degree.
That's right. We really believe that education is a resource that should be attainable by every family, not beyond the limits of your finances. And where students are coming out with loans, $100,000, $125,000 across the country, what we're looking at doing here is bringing that down, making it very accessible for you to get a world-class degree without being in debt for the rest of your life.
And very critical, particularly within minority communities that may have limited resources, to be able to get something that it's within reach.
Correct.
Education is the great equalizer, and where there's an opportunity to get a great education, there's an opportunity to help your children, to have a job that will last you a lifetime, to improve your community.
Well, thank you very much. This is very useful information. And again, Tom, we want to put that number out for economic development. Give us that number again.
856-384-6930. Call the office, Department of Economic Development. We'll talk to the individual if they lost their job, if they're looking to change their careers, the loan fund. We work with anyone, and the fact is we're here to help everyone.
And we just got a little bit of time, Tom, but tell me a little bit. I know you're working with Atlantic City Electric as well. With some workforce development issues.
Right now we're working with Atlantic City Electric. They came to us and said, listen, we're looking to the future, and seeing that some of our linemen are retiring. We want to put a training program together. So it's a partnership between Atlantic City Electric, between Rowan College of Gloucester County, and the consortium in terms of the finances. So the object is to work with the company like Atlantic City Electric. They have their own trainers, and through the state of New Jersey, they can pay for the trainings, and at the end of the day, you can get qualified people that meet your requirements, in terms of.
And we're particularly encouraging minorities to apply for those opportunities. Absolutely. And we'll put that flyer up as well. So certainly it's a good opportunity for a good paying career.
It's a very good opportunity in terms of there's longevity in that, and it's a very good company to work for. Just like every company, is vested. Anyone who hires is vested in that individual because there's some money involved in it, and there's training opportunities available and grant funding. So.
Well, thank you for taking the time to share this vital information. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with my next guest right here on Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Atlantic City is facing significant challenges, but the city is still optimistic about the future and offering assistance to do business in the city. Joining me is the Atlantic City Director of Planning and Development, Elizabeth Terenik. Elizabeth, welcome to Latino Motion. And you are optimistic about the future in spite of a lot of the issues, and we see Atlanta City in the news quite often. But there are some economic development and development issues that continue to be in the forefront. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Tell me about some of the things that are happening in the city.
Sure, and thank you for inviting me on your show, Bert. Well, there's a lot of development that the city itself is doing. So that's something that the city has control over, and we've been advocating and getting grants for a lot of different quality of life projects in the city. So that's one component of the development. And those are things like parks and playgrounds and paving projects, drainage projects, what I call quality of life improvements to the city. And then there's also, of course, the private development. And the city's role in that is to help approve all those development projects to get their approval so that they can be built. So we've been really focused on getting those projects through our development process as quickly as possible. And we've done that on several projects. So that includes, for example, the Stockton campus on Albany Avenue that we're really excited about. And also there is some things happening in the Southeast Inlet. We have a lot of hope for that area. There's a new housing development that'll be going there, as well as some activation that's happening at Revel and Showboat, which was
we want to
purchased.
talk a little bit about those projects, but let's talk a little bit about some of the efforts Atlanta City to engage both the residents and community and also minority vendors. And I know that you have an ongoing meeting with developers or people interested in doing business with the city noontime, the third Wednesday of the month. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, the noontime talks are the third Wednesday of every month, and they're really set up as a dialogue between the community and the planning office and those of us in City Hall that are making decisions about the city every day. And it's on a variety of planning topics. So we talk about economic development, we talk about clean and safe, we talk about housing and new housing that's coming through, we talk about infrastructure projects. So there's actually been 18 different noontime talks that have taken place for the last 18 months. This month's noontime talk will be focused on economic development and making sure the local residents and businesses are being connected with the opportunities that are presenting themselves in the city. So we know there's opportunities happening, whether it's the city's work or the private development that's happening, and we know that there's business owners in the city and contractors, and we want to make sure there's a connection there. So tomorrow, the noontime talk this month is to help make that connection.
So the next one, this will air after that. One takes place for January, but in February you have one, and that would be the third Wednesday, which would make it the 17th, I believe.
Okay.
February 17th would be at noontime right there at City Hall.
Right.
Let's talk about the projects. We have several projects. Stockton.
So the city has adopted what's called a redevelopment plan for the Gateway area, which is Albany Avenue. And the city had one in place, but it didn't allow for higher education and it didn't allow for office. So the developer and owner of those properties asked us to adopt a plan that would allow for those types of uses. And the plan is to have a campus there, and also dorms on the beach block, which is a pretty exciting place to have a dorm. And then also a headquarters for South Jersey Gas, South Jersey Industries, along with a parking garage, and retail on the bottom floor of that. So it's a really exciting mixed-use development for a neighborhood that's actually very stable and will really benefit from this type of development. So the city's really excited about that. Of course, we're doing everything we can to help
that's
it.
the area of Albany Avenue where the old high school was.
Correct.
Which, when I was president of the school board, we saw that building.
Okay, yeah.
So what's the timing on this project?
We expect them to come in for site plan in the next month. So shovels should be in the ground hopefully this spring.
And you still got the Showboat, and you got the Grand as well that you.
The Atlantic Club.
The Atlantic Club.
Yes.
Tell me where that stands.
Okay, so the Atlantic Club was proposed to possibly be a water park. I believe those developers are still interested in seeing that happen on that site. But I hear a lot of other interest in that property. The challenge right now is a lot of the banks are apprehensive to lend money in Atlantic City, and we need to make sure everyone knows that there still are 24 million visits into Atlantic City. Business is still doing well. The Walk is one of the highest performing outlet centers in the world. There's a lot of entertainment venues. So there's the opportunity to make money in Atlantic City. And there are a lot of businesses that figured out how to do that.
And the Showboat is for sale, and there's exciting news about the Revel as well.
Well, the Showboat was just purchased by Philadelphia developer Bart Blatstein, who turned around the Northern Liberties neighborhood in Philadelphia. So we're really excited to have him in town. He also recently purchased the playground, which is the Pier at Caesars, and is making changes to that property.
And something exciting might happen at the Revel.
So the Revel has settled their energy issue, which was a major obstacle to having the building be profitable, right? So now that issue is resolved, that owner, Glenn Straub, is actively seeking to reactivate the building.
We're looking forward to having you back to talk about some of those future plans. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you for sharing this, and thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.